So yesterday was one of my more sloppy trading days on the market. There were some very key things that I failed to execute on, which led me to take a losing trade on Apple. And at the end of today's video, I'm going to break down that losing trade on Apple and also talk you through what I did wrong. Now, after realizing what I did wrong yesterday, I came into today with a very structured game plan and ended up having, in my opinion, one of my cleanest trading days in a very long time, and possibly since I have begun trading. It was a very clean day. I have every single trade, I think it was like 5 or 6 trades, recorded live, and I'm going to break down every single one of them today. It's going to be maybe a little bit of a longer video, but there's going to be a lot of detail, a lot of value, breaking down every trade that I took today, about a $6,000 day, breaking down everything, all of it recorded live, and at the end of today's video, going over what I did wrong in the losing trade and what I did consciously to correct that mistake into today, make that conscious effort to improve. And today was the result of me looking back at what I did wrong and making it better. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, a good one, a valuable one. That's the kind of content I like to create. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So guys, this video starts with the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 futures and going over my game plan on the futures analysis. And this is where everything stems from for me, right? This is where the game plan starts and how I structure my days. So over the last 2 trading days, not including yesterday or not including today, we have seen nothing but rejections at this 15,000 to around 15,060 area. Right here on Friday of last week, we had a very nice rejection. Yesterday, a very nice rejection. And this morning in the pre-market, a very nice rejection. So we were moving lower into the market open. So with that mindset, right, I was looking to see, do we hold these demand lows, which at the time were demand lows around this 14.8, and do we get a little morning push to the upside that I could look to fade, right? And the reason I was only looking to fade this move is because of the larger term look on the market, right? If we zoom out, we can see the market has been very weak. You can see the downside has been sold, or the upside has been sold into. And I've been pretty much just been looking for those quick pops that lose strength and that we can fade back into, right? So this is the same for the ES and the same for the NASDAQ. So coming into today, right, this is the short-term time frame. We can look at the 5-minute chart. This morning, we got this nice pop to the upside on the NASDAQ, and we started to approach around that 15,000 supply that has been rejecting for many, many days, right? So we started to see it give up, and we started to see that downside. Now, the S&P 500 was actually what gave me the okay, the confirmation to take short side trades. And here is what I saw on the S&P 500 futures today. So first of all, if we go back to let's go to the 15-minute chart. Let's look at the last few trading days. Let's look at that further out look. So here is the S&P 500 over the last few trading days. And what we're going to focus on more than anything, I'm actually going to delete this level just to make this a little bit cleaner for you. That is an important level that will go back on my charts. But just to be a little bit clean here, I'm going to remove it. What we can see here over the last 2 trading days is we've been seeing this 43.35 area reject, right? Yesterday, we had a high a day around 43.36, and we had support step up around this 43.15. Now, in the pre-market after hours this morning, you guys can see 43.13 held, and we pushed back into that previous day high. So the S&P 500 was trading between this 43.15, right, that previous support from yesterday morning, which led to the upside and then rejected. And then we had that 43.15 hold here, which pushed to the upside and rejected at previous day highs. This is where I found my entry for short side. You guys can see right here, we had a break to the downside in the pre-market. And I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart, and I'm going to sort of give you more detail here. Here on the 5-minute chart, we can see we had that 43.15 level right here, that pre-market low. We had a push to the upside, and we rejected that previous high from yesterday. After breaking below the 43.15 level right here, after breaking below it, when the market opened today, we slid higher right into the 43.15 level, right? And let's go down to the 2-minute chart, and let's look at the candles that started to form at 43.15. So right here, you can see the first about half an hour of the market, we had this very slow, very low volume. If you guys look to on the bottom, very low volume upside right into our pre-market low at 43.15. When I started to see some wick rejection, some weakness stepping in here, when I started to see that volume just die off, that is when I started to execute my game plan. I started to look for that fade. That NASDAQ was reacting as well. And this is when I started to get aggressive on the downside. Now, the next thing that I saw that we can very, very easily see here on the S&P 500 is the break and retest of the previous day lows. So right here, we have the S&P 500, 42.95, previous day lows, right? Previous double bottom lows from yesterday. If we zoom in to the 2-minute chart today, not like that, right? We don't want to look at the charts like that. If we zoom in to the 2-minute chart today, you are going to see one of the cleanest breaks, retests, and a nasty wick rejection right at previous day lows. That previous day low double bottom turned into a beautiful wick rejection right here. And at that point, I was fully committed to the downside. And this is what gives me conviction in my trades, right? I say this all the time. I try to get this across as much as I can. These futures levels decide what I do on the day. And the S&P 500 showed everything that you needed to know today to make profitable trades. It broke and rejected pre-market lows. It broke and rejected previous day lows and pre-market lows there, right? That is very clean, right? Break, retest of this low here. Break, retest of yesterday's double bottom lows. You guys can see that right here. And the rest is history. With that game plan in mind, and as I was watching this unfold live, right? Of course, I'm talking to the group live, explaining to them or explaining to anyone listening what I am looking for and why I'm looking for downside because of these S&P and NASDAQ futures. If we go over to the NASDAQ, you guys probably are familiar if you've been watching my channel, the 14.8 support that has been holding up this market, right? 14.8, 14.8, 14.8. Now look at what happened today on the 5-minute chart on the NASDAQ futures. You can see right here, we dropped below 14.8. We turned 14.8 into a rejection point, and we moved lower to the downside. This is the same thing, which is actually what we're going to talk about in one of my trades today. The QQQ is one of the stocks that I traded today, and we had a previous demand low at 357 on the QQQ, right? And if I go to the 2-minute chart, look at what happened at 357 today. Right here, you guys can see a break, a retest, a rejection right under the previous demand. And this is where I took another short today on the QQQ. So every trade that you're about to hear today is all stemmed off the NASDAQ futures, the S&P 500 futures. I wanted to start this video with that. Now, let's jump into the individual trades. So guys, trade one, which is a Qualcomm swing trade. This is the first trade that I executed on the day. And I'm not going to go too in-depth on this one because it's a little bit of a longer-term idea, not so much a day trade that I can share with you live. But I will share with you a live clip of when I entered it, just so you guys can hear what goes on in the Discord community. So here is 112 on Qualcomm. Qualcomm had some previous support here at 112, previous support around 112. We had some rejections around 112, and over the last few weeks, we've been having this bear flag right back into that 112 supply level. So today, on the 5-minute chart, you guys can see, if I go actually back and get a little bit more time here, you are going to see that we pushed right back into that 112 level that we rejected right here, right? 112 rejection. This morning, big pop to the upside. We started to get a rejection at that 112 level, and I executed my trade. You guys are going to see up on the screen where I posted this in the chat. We were entering some swing trades here, some next week contracts on Qualcomm. I just held this thing all day. I did scale out a little bit, but on this trade, right, I want to stay in it until it breaks above 112. I think that's an important supply level, and we can definitely see the rejection today. And what I'm looking for here is a bear flag breakdown, right? So we've been bear flagging. We just double topped at the 112 level, and I am looking for a break of this trend and a continuation lower, possibly down into this 109, 108 area on Qualcomm. I'll post a real quick clip just so you guys can hear when I got in. but this is a little bit of a swing trade. This is the first trade of the day that I took. A really nice profit as of right now. We'll see how this one sort of goes on as I maintain the position. All right, I'm going to take that Qualcomm idea. I'm in Qualcomm next week, 112 puts. Stop over 112. I'm just going to put a stop over high a day, actually. I do like that push right into my supply level today. And I like how it reacted right at our level. So I'm going to take a little shot there. That's going to be my first setup. So guys, the next trade that I went ahead and executed today were some Apple put options. Now, I shared this idea on Twitter this morning. It's this bear flag on the 1 hour chart. So right here on the 1 hour chart, you guys are looking at a previous major low around $174, right? Right here, $174, a major low on Apple. We broke that low. We retested that low, and over the last few days, we have rejected that previous low. Now, with us turning that 174 level into rejections here over the last few days, and me knowing that this was a previous major low, I could set up a short position looking for a break and retest, stop loss over 174, and look for that downside continuation. Now, of course, you still have to find that intraday entry to enter that position, and here I'm going to go ahead and break down where I found my entry on some Apple puts. So here's Apple on the 2-minute chart, just today's price action, and we can see we pushed into that 174 level. That was that supply level we were referring to, and we started to see the slip. Now, I did wait a little bit extra on Apple to get a little bit more confirmation. I waited for the break and hold below the pre-market low. So right here, you guys can see we had a pre-market low around this 172 level, right? Right here, major pre-market low around 172. Now, if I zoom in on the 2-minute chart, you guys are going to see that we flushed below that 172. We tried to get back over it over a 4-minute period, and we could not get back above that level. After seeing Apple turn that 172 level, which was a previous demand, right? After seeing it be a previous demand in the pre-market and seeing it turn, right, into a rejection point, which you're about to see here, it turned back into a rejection point. That is where I executed some Apple puts, traded this with the team today over the live trade, got a very nice downside move, took some profits. I still hold a small position of Apple overnight, looking for that larger term idea, right, which was the bear flag idea that I originally talked about, this bear flag breakdown of 174. So still have that larger term idea here on Apple, but I was able to find that intraday entry, which I'll go back and show you again, on that break and retest of the pre-market lows, right? So right here, a break under the pre-market lows, right here with pre-market lows, a break, a retest, and a rejection of it. That is where I found my downside entry today for a nice scalp, holding some runners overnight for the swing trade. Now, I'm going to go ahead and include the live clip. You guys can see the live trade, how I executed Apple, talked through it with the team, and where I currently stand on that position. Watch Apple to stay under 172 here. I'm going to put on some Apple as well. I took the 175s. That's fine. In the money. I'm in Apple puts as well. Stop over 172 on that 172 rejection. Still being cautious of the 14.8 though. Still being cautious of the 14.8 here. Position sizing correctly, making sure I'm not in too large. If Apple rejects 172 there, I might get a little bit more aggressive if I see more weakness in the 14.8. Tesla put still looking fantastic. Let's see how strong this 14.8 bounce wants to be. I don't think, right now, I'm not thinking it's that strong at the moment. I'm going to add a little bit to that Apple put there. I'm still at risk of 14.8 bouncing. I'm still at risk of 14.8 bouncing here. ES just perfectly rejected previous day lows. Good add on Apple. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to take some profits on Apple there. Just protecting myself in the 14.8. Very nice. That's as clean as it gets. That's as clean as it gets. Look at the SPY retest of 424.50. It's about as clean as it can possibly get there on the ES, guys. There it goes. Yep. That is the cleanest S&P 500 ES retest I have seen in a very long time. That is absolutely insanity. Look how clean that was. You popped into the 42.95. You got absolutely mollywopped off of it. Nailed. And then bam. The third trade that we're going to review today is an Amazon bear flag rejection. This is exactly the same as the Apple trade we just talked about. Amazon just gave us a lot better follow through, a beautiful downside move. Shared this one also on Twitter this morning. Make sure to go ahead and follow me there on Twitter. Once in a while, I will post some trade ideas. Here was Amazon, right? And we had some very clear rejections around that 130 level on Amazon. We have seen over the last few trading days some very clear rejections around 130, which was previously a pretty important level back here. Now, the main thing that got me interested here on Amazon was this green line. That green line is the daily 100 SMA. And I knew that if we were trading back into supply, back into the daily 100 SMA, I could potentially look for that level to reject and get a downside move off of it. Now, I did not catch the early morning rejection on Amazon up at this 130 level. Where I caught it was a break and retest of a very key 126.50 level. Now, let me show you why 126.50 was so important. So here is Amazon on the 15-minute chart. And you guys can see if we draw a zone at this 126.50, we can see this was a previous rejection, a previous rejection, and a previous rejection. That 126.50 level turned into support and turned into support over the last two trading days. Now today, we broke below that 126.50 and we turned it into a rejection. Can you believe it? You guessed it, the break and retest. Once again, right? The same exact strategy over and over again. And you can see how clean this one was. So Amazon, this is your 126.50 level we just talked about. You can see Amazon slipped below it, turned it into a rejection, turned it into a rejection, and right there is a beautiful trade entry for downside. Stop loss over 126, break and retest once again. Could you believe that I just trade the same thing every single day and it shows up every single day? Hopefully, you seeing these can give you some insight into finding trade entries yourself. Now, I'm going to go ahead and run the live recording where we enter Amazon Live, talk through it with the team, take profits as we get downside. Go ahead and enjoy that live trade, and then we will get to the next one, which is a QQQ put option. Looking to see if Amazon puts in some rejections here at 120 or 126, 126.50. Watching this Amazon potential rejection right here. Yeah, I'm in Amazon. I'm in Amazon 127 put, stop over 126.50. That ES weakness, I'm going to ride with it. This is that situation we talked about earlier, so be careful. We talked about this earlier. We said ES is going to break the lows, NASDAQ's still going to be above 14.8. It's up to you to decide whether you want to put that risk on. I'm okay with it, but you need to decide for yourself. There is a risk that 14.8 holds, but I'm in Amazon 127 puts, stop over 126.50. And I'm in those Qualcomm puts as well. There is a risk that 14.8 holds here and we get bounced on. Very much a risk. It's about as clean as it can possibly get there on the ES, guys. There it goes. Yep. Take some profits. I'm going to take some off Amazon here. So guys, last but not least, probably one of the cleaner trades of the day. Not my largest one, but a very clean one. And this is a QQQ downside trade. Once again, a break and retest. So if we look at this QQQ chart over the last 4 trading days, we can clearly see that we had previous demand at 357, previous demand at 357, previous demand at 357, right? We knew that was there. Now, if we dive into today's action, right? And we look at what happened during the intraday today. We're going to go ahead and zoom in to today, and you are going to see we had a perfect, once again, break and retest of that previous demand low at 357, and right here is where I was entering put options with the group. This shows you, right, that you do not need to just guess or chase downside here in the morning and potentially short into a demand, right? You need to understand that QQQ, if you were taking it short before the break and retest right in this general area, you are exposing yourself to a potential demand hold of that 357 level. Let me make sure that's very clear for you. If I go back to the 15-minute chart, if you are shorting, right, back into that 357 level right around here, you are shorting into the same levels over the last 3 days that turned into a major rally to the upside. Maybe not major, but at least a rally or a push to the upside. Now, that's why we do not short into that demand level. We wait for that demand level to turn into a rejection point, and that is exactly what we got today. So if we go to today once again, you can see that demand level no longer held up. It actually turned into a rejection point, and this is where we were executing on the downside on some QQQ put options. I'm gonna take a little. What do I want to take? Yeah, I'm gonna take a 357, and I'm gonna put just a little bit of risk on that. I'm gonna take a today expiration 357 put. Stop over 357. Just playing the 14.8 break and retest. That's all. That'll be my last trade of the day. I'll just take a little small shot, see what I can get. That's just as clear as day, 14.8 break and retest, so why not? Yes, I took a QQQ 357 put with a stop over 357. I'm simply playing the 14.8 break and retest. So if 14.8 wants to stay as a rejection, I anticipate further downside, right? Think about this trade. Think about how structured it is and how emotionless it is. It is simply a break and retest of our key level. We have to take that trade, okay? There's no other questions. You have to take that trade if you want to take risk right now. If you're too scared, if you don't want to take the risk, if you've had a good day, then you think twice before taking this. I'm okay to risk a few $100 here to see if the 14.8 rejection turns into more downside today. Okay, so another wick rejection off 14.8 and 357. Very important, very key. I mean, this is a fantastic looking rejection on NASDAQ here, guys. If this doesn't work out, then I couldn't tell you. Right? That's just the way. That's just trading. If you're in this QQQ put, I mean, this is textbook entry point. And if you lose on it, you literally cannot care. There's no two ways about it. All right. Profit taking up 15%. All right, guys. I'm going to exit QQQ here. Just going to take the win. So the last thing I want to go over in today's video is what I did wrong yesterday, what I learned from it, and then after I will include the Apple Live Trade, which was a loss. Here's the NASDAQ futures. Yesterday, I had the game plan of looking for shorts up at the Friday highs, right? So we had the Friday highs up around 15,000 to 15,060. I had the game plan coming into yesterday, coming into Monday, of looking for that demand push off that 14.8. Look to see if we would start to lose some strength around that 15,000, 15,060, as well as that 100 SMA. Now, what I did wrong was I began to trade, which you will see Apple, the trade that I took, I began to trade before the NASDAQ got up into that supply level, right? I was trading in the middle. I was trading in the middle of the channel, which is something I talk about not to do, but of course, I'm human. I'm always going to make some mistakes. Every trader is going to make mistakes. And this is something that I realized and made sure not to do today, right? The trades that I took today were off key break and retests, key rejection points on the overall market. Yesterday, I just traded in the middle of the channel, which led to my losses. So a good example of getting stuck trading in the middle of a channel, giving you not really much of an edge in the market and potentially leading to some trading losses. I started to enter my Apple puts as the NASDAQ was rejecting this general area But this was not a major area on the market. This was the major area on the market, right? Up around that 15,060 supply. I did end up turning green on the day, taking some puts up here around this 15,060, but I could have avoided this loss that you're going to see on Apple because I was trading in the middle of the channel. Today, I traded on the rejections of 14.8. I traded on that rejection on the ES of pre-market lows. Those are structural points in the market. Yesterday, I did not do that, and that is a good example of how this went wrong. I'm going to take a shot on some Apple puts, 170 puts. Stop over 173.50. I like that 173.50 level a lot on Apple. I like how it's stalling right there. I'm going to give that one a shot with that NASDAQ reaction. Need to see a little bit more weakness on NQ at this 14,940. Okay, now I think I'm going to stop out of Apple because it just turned that level into support right there. Let's see. I want to see like real continuation here before stopping out of Tesla Apple. I don't want to react to that candle yet. But it is starting to get away. All right. I think that's it. All right. I'm out of Apple. Taking my loss. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the content. I don't know what else I could provide, how much more in-depth I could get. You saw the analysis, the live trades, every single entry, every exit that I took today. A very clean day, one of my cleaner days in the market. I'm very happy about it. It gives me a lot of confidence moving forward. I hope you learned something from watching my videos. If you do, press that like button. The live trades that you heard today are straight recordings from the Discord community. This goes on live every single day. If you guys are in the Discord chat, if you are enjoying it, make sure to comment down below, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.